Hello there YouTube, this is Sibbles and Bits back at it again with another Inkbound Daily. Today is the solo daily for November 21st, and today we have new daily mods. Very exciting. We will be playing Starcaptain, going from Silent Promenade into Vengewood, and then up against Runestone. We have -1 Will Reserve, which is kind of like spiced, but we also have Set Collector. After winning a battle, increase a randomly equipped set by 1. Uh, Very hard to know what equipped means. Does that mean ones that we're holding vestiges of, or ones that we have, period? Because that's an interesting way for us to sort of like try and curtail it and do whatever we want it to be. But of course, if you have a lot of vestiges, then you probably already have the sets, and it's a little weird, admittedly. But it's a way for us to say get a free ambusher or a free precision early on, stuff that's a little bit harder for you to grind out meaningfully, because obviously, like having, I guess you could get away with having like 2 Moss Spyglass, but you'd prefer not to. We also start with random ascensions on all of our bindings, which could be disastrous. We're going to have to see how that goes. We have Blessing of Quill, so our rerolls are very good. Going to have to keep mind of that. And we have Freezing Ray, Shock Trooper, and Absolute Zero. Freezing Ray into Absolute Zero is somewhat notable, except that this doesn't really give us extra frostbite on an enemy. It just increases our frostbite damage, which then theoretically increases the damage that Absolute Zero deals. Generally speaking, though, you want to use Absolute Zero as soon as possible, not towards the end of your turn. So that's a little bit weird. We're going to have to figure out a way around that. All in all, with the new mods, just trying to think about how exactly we are going to deal with this. Inflict +1 stack of frostbite might be a way to get around to that. And is that +1 stack of frostbite to each enemy or just the primary target? Really should state, because we might potentially get our F8 of the day. And then what do we got here? Well, Ambusher would also be another one just to gain another +1 on, which again this would allow us to do. Also gives us 2 will on the first turn, which does help us with fight 1, especially when we have Freezing Ray. Verdant also isn't bad. Immediately get Verdant 2. Kind of nice. Precision go into some crits. Of course, like the rest of this doesn't really agree with that, so not really too sure about that. I really hate to just grab Ambusher, but it's looking like that's how it is. Actually, see, this is the thing. We can re-roll and get the increased rarity. We will very likely get a green vestige, which is more likely. Well, I mean, I guess we have any green vestige that's going to show up. But we're going to get rare symbols, which then makes Set Collector a little bit better. But this is also like guaranteed payout, because we can only get Ambusher, we can only get Precision, only get Verdant, so on and so forth. Problem is that, well, these are all good. We're going to gamble. And we didn't get absolutely anything. Gonna roll it again. Still got absolutely nothing. Well, now I'm looking like a fool. Okay. Really should have went with that, that Future Willer. That was probably a no-brainer. I was expecting Blessing of Quills to actually do something. After all this time that I've been talking about the fact that it's actually good now, it goes ahead and betrays me like that. Okay, I understand. Might even be better to take money here, not just because we re-rolled all of it, but because the Quilling Cage will allow us to actually like try and curtail what we've got and head closer to like this ambusher set that we're leaning into. Might get another Future Willer. Okay. We don't need no Future Willer. Well, I mean, there's the station grade Klaxon, so that pretty much puts us in there. There could theoretically not, like, we could get a Swift instead, which would actually be quite disastrous. I'm not willing to reroll to try and actually, like, get something. Alright. Well, if we're stuck with these abilities, that kind of changes everything. We may want this binding empowerment. We'll risk the Sea Breach. And Unstable Brew, that helps. Arguing Binders, that absolutely helps. I am actually willing to go wide here. We got plus 15 damage on our Freezing Ray. Offensive mode grants more Frostbite damage and 3 additional Frostbite to secondary targets. All in all, looking pretty good, except for the fact that we would prefer Absolute Zero to actually do something. This gives every status damage except Frostbite. Okay. Not much we can do. We're going to take 1 damage here. This is actually super spooky. We're going to take a bonus turn here. I'm not sure that there's anything that we possibly could have done, except maybe not use absolute zero on the last turn, but even then, like, this is going to be hard to actually, like, kill here. Wow. Okay. We're going to take 2 turns. Huh. Okay. Precision would have been a good set here because of Moss Mother's Embrace. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll. Okay. Frozen Finger, like, I don't think that it's good, but at least it puts some Frostbite out there. I don't know. Quandary Machine is interesting too. Problem is that we just don't make a lot of drones right now, so it's kind of hard for us to pick that. Problem is that I don't think that Frostbite is good for us to be investing in. Getting free sources of it kind of helps though. Otherwise, like, it's going to take a long time for this to actually do anything for us. These are pretty decent on Stone Pitch Pipe. Problem with Stone Pitch Pipe is that in most cases, it's going to be useless. We either use it on Freezing Ray, because we can actually use it multiple times in a turn, or we use it on a skill that we can't use multiple times in a turn, and so the one cost discount does absolutely nothing. This would actually be quite notable if we got a cooldown reduction on Shock Trooper. That would allow us to use it twice for free, which would give us 2 drones, which would be great for Quandary Machine, except that these are actually being offered alongside one another. Yeah, getting 50 drone hits, I suppose it isn't that unreasonable because it counts like whenever we do AoE, but currently our only AoE is absolute 0 because we can't draft anything. We gotta try and make these skills as good as possible. So I think we honestly go with Stone Pitch Pipe here. I'd like to get rid of one of these things here. Unfortunately, it's going to be a waste because we got a +1 Swift. At least in that regard, it's going to be a waste. But we just need the Ambusher stacks, and we don't need the extra movement on turn 1 because it's useless. Go ahead, give me a Superior Vault. I would honestly prefer to see Augs, but the game's saying no right now. I honestly don't know how we're going to kill this this treasure pot here, especially because he's next to nobody. Like, I guess this gets close, but then we take damage. Oh, I shocked the wrong... That's my bad. That is my bad. This would have done 96, 50% of that. I guess it still wouldn't have killed, but it would have been pretty close. I guess this is actually what we're gonna do. Keep that shock on you for a while. That is really not going to kill you, huh? Man, we are just going to get bopped here. Well, not much we can do about it. I imagine we're going to take extra turns here, so we're going to go ahead and take this damage. We can always use this Bloodthirst blend later. If you could come a little bit close, that's perfect. Thank you. I need you to be somewhat close. Somewhere around here would be great. Bloodthirst blend me. This is absolutely terrible. I have no idea what I did to deserve this, but woe is me, I guess. Didn't I use... They changed Bloodthirst Blend, didn't they? Well, then that's entirely my fault. I used that on the wrong turn if they changed it. We ended up losing 10 health, lost a lot of points, 2 extra turns again. This is not one of our best days. Sea Trickle is looking interesting, simply due to the fact that it will give us another Ancient Wisdom. We got a +1 in Ambusher, which is kind of nice too. Could maybe re-roll into that. Not entirely sure that I want to do that. That seems more like a shop kind of deal. Just buy it if it shows up. I would much rather take a Sea Trickle and try and offset that Ancient Wisdom deficit. We do not do any of this stuff, technically speaking. Still, Study of Windsong, chance to mark on hit is relatively good, just not good for us because we don't really do spiky damage with this setup. Unless, of course, we have absolute zero, which we currently don't have a lot of the time. So Verdant Sprout is also looking somewhat good. If I ended up getting like an extra point of Vigorous or an extra Verdant, that would feel pretty good to me. And then, of course, it does do a little bit of HP scaling and HP restoring to allow us to trade damage a little bit more. Otherwise, like, we could get a Reaver set off this. Not really too interested in that. And Fabled, we never have extra, like, will. So, I'm thinking a Verdant Sprout's probably the best option here. And, honestly, do we just, like, liquidate that? Maybe. Maybe we liquidate this Station Grade Klaxon just to make sure that we don't get another Swift again. Also gives us Ambusher 6, which is 3 turns of whatever the frick this is, extra damage that we don't really scale off of well because we don't have any flat damage. Again, Future Willer probably would have been the best move here. And I think that we're paying for that throughout the entirety of this run. Binding Empowerment, I would love to, can't really afford to. The Hovel, maybe. I think it's honestly just this Vesticle Shrine. We will walk past it, though, and just make sure that there's no, nothing in the shop that would be better to grind. I honestly want the Elusive Whisper. That would be quite helpful to us. This is not a good vestige, in my opinion. If we had shielding, maybe, then activating Frostbite on an enemy so that we could then hit them with absolute zero would be great, but not really. We don't really defeat enemies well, so dealing some smite damage really doesn't do it for me. We would get Ancient Wisdom, which is notable, but yeah, I'm not really feeling that. I think we buy Elusive Whisper, possibly reroll. And there's Quandary Machine again, which we can actually, like we said, build into. If we get a large node, we can still meet our money. We're gonna try it. I mean, we're already losing. We might as well do something. Go ahead, pop this Station Grade Klaxon. We have Swift 7 for no reason. Okay. Were you really not the closest person? I mean, it really doesn't matter, but it's annoying. Unfortunately, I think we kind of got to do this. Or we just take 2 damage because reasons. We're going to take extra turns here. We got nothing really going for us here besides some blur, thankfully reducing the damage that we're taking. That'll do it, but There we go. And I love that we're getting these sea trickle procs when it doesn't mean anything. And we should pretty much be done here. I keep forgetting that we can't ascend anything right now. Commanding Crowdclasm seems a lot better for us than what we're currently doing. Invigorating Chelacer is also pretty much the only way for us to start scaling damage. Pretty good. I'm not sure that it's enough, but it's like, again, we got to stick with our core kit, and none of this really is going to help us besides maybe Commanding Crowdclasm, increasing the amount of drones that we get. But after a while, we're going to have too many drones if we do that. Ancient Wisdom popping for us, thank you very much. I think it's Invigorating Chelacer, especially with that in consideration.
Hello, young tree.
I kind of want to keep that blur. May not be the right decision. I also want to try and get a -1 cooldown on our mission leader. I can't remember if that's green or blue. Oh, look at that. Really? Okay, game. Probably should have autoed first. Actually, it doesn't do anything the turn that I take it. That could have actually killed them. Well, at least we only took 1 damage, so it worked out. -1 base cooldown. That's exactly what we were looking for. Thank you. Is there anything that we would be willing to liquidate? We kind of need the damage. Sea Trickle's doing some work. This is now going to do a lot of work. Like maybe the Verdant Sprout we could liquidate. Get 3 healing off this. We get closer to Vigorous 4, which would allow us to trade a little bit more health. I actually don't think that any of this is good for us, but I also don't believe in going to a shop right now. We can't really afford to spend anything. So we're going to see if we can't... well, we need this big quelling cage. Oh. I guess it is this Verdant Sprout. Which theoretically means that we're not going to get another Vigorous unless we draft it. Well... 3 healing orbs out of that is kind of suffer. Alright, who has the most health here? You do, but you kind of also are making us take a heck of a ton of damage. So we're going to go... Well, let's actually set this up first. Like we should. Let's see, this is going to be... But if we... Okay, this is a bit funky. Not too bad, I guess. Keep that orb for next turn. Seems great. Come at me, bro. Okay. Dare I say it, I think we finally got a build. I don't like these at all. Reroll. Reroll again, give me some blues. Come on, man. I mean, I'll take that. Sea Breach is the only good thing here. Technically, we could have afforded to take the Frostbite. I'll tell you what, I'll take 20 Omni damage. Max HP is kind of notable. We don't need any more augments. We kind of want to put purples in here. Double the amount of drones would be nice, and then plus 60 to both hits would be amazing. Okay, game. Kind of want to make sure that I hit you, which honestly, in order to do that, I got to do something like this. Then we hit this. That's pretty good. I suppose I would have taken a green og here. Another -1 cooldown would be absolutely sick. But also definitely unnecessary. I cannot avoid dealing damage to you. which is honestly kind of shitty. Guess what we're gonna do is actually put this on. Well, hold up now. No, we are. We're gonna put the shock on you. Just to get rid of you. Definitely seems like a waste, but we needed to do it. Another one of you? Okay, so we're definitely going to take some damage here. I don't see how we don't. Vengeful Infusion. Pick this up. I guess we don't take damage. Everybody dies. I suppose the Thorns damage comes back and hits everybody. Okay, game. Quandary Machine is about to cap, which means that we're actually dealing quite a bit of drone damage, which is going to... Oh, baby. This is a decision of the ages. They're finally asking us to judge our own character here. Plus 20 Sentinel damage doesn't mean anything at this point. However, gaining a Sentinel drone at the start of the turn definitely makes it so that we have to use this less. We might actually be able to use Absolute Zero. I think, though, the cooldown reduction is hands down better. It just doesn't have anything else that helps us. Because we're about to get 2 drones every turn for the cost of 1. This is a physical binding. Then we go ahead and use Freezing Ray or Absolute Zero. We reduce the cooldown of everything. Absolute Zero goes down to 1. And next turn we absolutely get it. We don't have to use any orbs or anything. It's quite nice. I think that Harmonizing Whistle is definitely the pick here. I guess we hit this Vestigal Shrine because we might just run into something in the shop. We are still looking for another ambusher. These are not ambushers. However, that is the Darby Replicator right there. Seems kind of funny. Not sure that I'm happy with that, though. The other thing to note is that we can technically reroll a couple of times here. We could reroll twice. The thing I'm looking here, though, is that there could be a blue that has Ambusher on it. Most notably, Acknowledgement. So it's a mostly early game set, so the only thing that we're really going to see it on is maybe Bard Bones or Ulamas. We didn't. So Acknowledgement is pretty much the last one here. We have Blessing of Quills, though, so if we reroll here, we're likely only going to get blues. So the odds of us actually getting what we want are pretty much nil. So, do we buy Darby Replicator just to get our Expert Binder? It's actually quite useless at that point. I don't think we reroll the shop. Oh, don't you run from me. I'm really gonna miss you by that much, huh? It's a little insulting. Man, I thought we were crushing it. We're gonna take one extra turn here, which is honestly quite misfortunate. Never mind, we're gonna take 2 extra turns here. So I'm sure I've said it already, but we're back in the hope that everybody else is suffering as much as we are been. Because of the fact that, well, nobody could have done anything about the fact that we're stuck with no drafted bindings and these ascensions. Unless, of course, it's running into the exact same problem that the drafted bindings mod is, and everybody's going to have separate ascensions, in which case it's all up in the air at that point. In all likelihood, besides obviously your first choice, the plus to set is likely random. 60 damage for both hits. Thank you. Thank you. Shot caller mission leader could theoretically be pretty good, but let's make sure that we get this. Hmm. Shoot. Well, that's an extra turn. I feel like there's a way to get out of that. We got another Ancient Wisdom. That's much appreciated. The Reaver is not helping us much at all. And that's not bad. Gaining resistant every turn when we also have blur. That's quite notable. We are also getting shielding off of Shock Trooper. Yeah, I'll take it. At this point, I'm not sure that Leaky Pen's doing much for us. I'd be willing to re-roll this. Because of Blessing of Quills, this is guaranteed to be a one of these. I'm collecting an orb, gain Omni damage. That's somewhat notable. Does that give us our Inventor? It gives us one Inventor. We would need Inventor 3 in order to actually see something out of this. We don't have a movement skill, so we really don't care about Mirror Spire Pact. We'll take Conduit. I'm not against it. Actually, let's take a look at our Heroic Vault here, because we can liquidate this now. So we can go ahead and take Ancient Wisdom. Or we could reroll. And we could reroll again. Or Thunderstruck Bell, actually. That's 2 random shocks on enemies. And more Reaver that we don't use. We're not going to carry this. We're grinding this. Maybe we keep rerolling. And I think we honestly keep rerolling. Well, we can't reroll anymore. Probably should have been happy with that Inventor. Unless for whatever reason I want one of these, which I don't. I actually want to hold this. Yeah, I should have just been happy with what I had. Let's go ahead and get some crit chance. Might use some of this Reaver here. There we go. And there was just a frozen statue here, so I'm perfectly fine with how I played that. Suppose I also could have rerolled this into something that actually helps. That Thunderstruck Bell would definitely have been worth it, though. Thunderstruck on a random enemy, Inventor on a random enemy. Might as well use this for no reason. This is Runestone, so we want to be at the top of the screen. Alright. Let's see how bad this goes, huh? Thank you, Inventor. It's really unfortunate. Alright. think we're just gonna have this. We are not gonna just have this. That's an extra turn on the boss. Yeah, that's one extra turn, 5 health loss. Excuse me? Oh, that doesn't matter. We're over 50. Whew! Almost had an immediate reaction to that. Other than that, all of our resources are fine. We just took way too many extra turns in the early game. 44, I wouldn't even say is great. But again, we were kind of suffering from being stuck with Starcaptain skills. We could theoretically have gone into a better setup with Future Willer. I think people who just took that are going to do significantly better than we did because we ended up having to settle for like plus 50% bonus damage when, again, we don't really deal a lot of damage. We would much rather have just used. Like, the best that would have done is when we used Cryoclasm. That would deal an extra 60 damage, whereas 2 extra will would have just been us using Chalaser twice, which would have been significantly better, especially because our Chalaser scales that damage. I think that we eventually pivoted into a decent build. We're still not quite there. Obviously we were struggling against Runestone. We didn't phase one him, which would have made a huge difference. And I don't know, just all around suffer times. Anyways, hopefully the run was entertaining or at least educational for you guys. If you have any feedback whatsoever, be it questions, comments, concerns, misplay alerts, be sure to put that down in the comments below. And until next time, I will catch you guys around.